Rammies, great sex starts with chocolate, and everyone knows that our favorite chocolate is Alice mushrooms, and they have an all-new sexy flavor called Happy Ending, which is composed of 9 potent aphrodisiacs that enhance sexual wellness in every capacity, from lubrication to arousal to increased sensitivity, stamina, and heightened pleasure. And we have a discount code for you. Go to www.alicemushrooms.com to get 20% off using the code RAM20. Let us know what you think and enjoy. Welcome back, Rammies.
We are changed women.
We have never been so changed and different.
No kidding. So if you guys didn't know, if you didn't know, it's because you're not following us on social media. Tess and I have returned because, again, like we said on our Betty Ford episode, we went and we bartended at Watch What Happens Live. We went to the mothership.
We went to the mothership. We met Daddy.
Tess and I literally have said that Andy Cohen is the only man in our life that we will call Daddy.
Like, truly.
Like,
and
actually,
that's for a different time.
That's for Patreon.
That is for Patreon. And we will be discussing in detail our Watch What Happens Live appearance, our New York trip. Claire made a gorgeous vlog of our trip, which is like 12 minutes of chaotic behind the scenes.
I was literally at a cafe yesterday just giggling out loud to myself because we've never vlogged before, and it was such an experience, and I was a little worried. I was like, are we going to have enough content? Honey, did we?
You are a natural vlogger. I didn't know that you also were doing all those, like you were like keeping track of everything.
You were a natural vlogger. It takes two to tango.
I mean, we had the help of a lot of martinis.
Yeah, no kidding. Some joints. And you'll see it all on the vlog. It was just like, oh, it was the best time. And now we both have colds, so we apologize if I sound a little nasally.
We knew that we'd have like the emotional and physical come down.
Yeah.
And we literally like our bodies were trying so hard to like fight it and to like give us strength. And then literally we both woke up on Monday and we're like, we're not okay.
No, we are not okay, which I didn't think about this before, but Tess called it out. We think Dr. Nicole from Real Housewives of Miami might have got us sick.
Because we saw her after we were done filming and Watch What Happens Live, and she was waiting to go on live at 10.
Yeah.
And of course we went up to her. I told her that my boyfriend has a crush on her. She was like,
so
oh my
fun.
goodness. And she looked at us and she was like, what are you two doing here? Like, she was like, why? Who are you guys?
Tess and I get that everywhere we go. People are just like shook that we're there.
They're like, so who are you?
Yeah, not in a good way. And just like, how did you get past security way,
Truly, but she said she had a cold, and then the next day she was posting and like did not look well.
It did not sound well.
So we're going to say that Dr. Nicole got us sick.
Yeah, Dr. Nicole got us sick, and now we need her anesthesia to just put us to sleep until we feel better. We're also in cozy season if you're watching on Spotify or YouTube.
And like, to be honest, I might start being a little bit more in cozy season.
Me too. Why not?
Because like, I mean,
unless there are more brands that want to send us looks, we wore gorgeous Show Me Your Moo dresses, and if y'all want to send us more stuff, like, go ahead.
We do love free shit.
I know, no kidding.
But like, it's just nice to sit here and not feel like the jeans are just
not have to find sitting jeans
going into the tummy.
No.
So this is lovely.
Yeah, this is very cozy. So again, Patreon is $7.99. You get 2 bonus episodes a month, but we gave you an extra free vlog, and we get very personal and tell you like the dirty details of our life, and we do celebrity gossip, and
it's just the best community, and we hope that you try it out. There's a 7-day free trial, so
yep, and the link is in our show notes, and also you get added to our close friends list on Instagram, and again, it's where we air out our dirty laundry.
And you'll know what episodes we are doing in advance. We added that to the Patreon magic.
That's right.
Should we just get into it?
Yes, let's get into it.
Okay, you guys have requested this. I've wanted to do this for a long time. On Patreon, I mentioned that during winter break, my entire winter break was pretty much just researching, indulging, taking in Monica Lewinsky and the whole Bill Clinton scandal, what happened. I watched the FX series Impeachment, which I didn't know until I was about halfway through with that. Monica Lewinsky was an executive producer on it.
Oh, she was?
So
the narrative.
The narrative.
Which, I mean, I think that there's probably only like one real like right narrative. In hindsight, no?
Yes. And I think that's like why I wanted to do this, and obviously you guys requested it, but another part of it was just like, the story has been told one way. Also, like, re-examine it after the Me Too movement, re-examine it as a woman now in my 30s, opposed to, I mean, I was a child when this happened, but then I also like just remember having a very different feeling about it. And I think what this episode will really embody is both things can be true. And it's a nuanced story in a way as well. And yeah, I'm curious to know your preconceived, thoughts about Monica Lewinsky and what happened.
Well, so I'm from Arkansas, which is why I'm wearing my Arkansas Girl State shirt, because I had to represent
Cute.
in some way. Because I do have my mom's Clinton Gore shirt, which it's still my favorite shirt of all time.
Oh, I've asked to borrow it just to go on vacation
It's
before for some reason.
so good. I was a little scared to wear it today, though, because I feel like there will be moments in our story that I'll just be so ashamed. So I feel like I've always heard about Monica Lewinsky. Like, I've heard about the stained dress, but like I still don't know exactly, like, I know she was an intern and there was an affair, and then that led to an impeachment. So I'm just like, that's all I really know. And like, why an impeachment?
We will get into it.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I'm scared.
It is, okay, it's a little bit scary because I think I'm very similar to you. I was like, okay, I know about the dress.
Yep.
I know that, like, she's
Only bought this dress so you could
take
take
it
it off.
take it off. That's
Inappropriate, but appropriate.
appropriate. Also, it was never taken off,
Well, that's why there's a stain.
but we'll get to it. We will get to it. It was a journey of disappointment
Mm-hmm.
and a journey of, I always liked the Clintons.
Of
I know that's
course.
not a popular opinion, especially even with a lot of liberal people. They're like,
I
Hillary
know.
is a croak, Bill Clinton is a disgusting man, which he is.
Yeah.
And I think I grew up just being like, I like his policies. I think he's a decent president. He kind of had this new wave,
This episode is for our latest Apple podcast review, saying that we hate on Republican and we hate on men too much. So
yeah, we've gotten 2 of those in the past week saying to stop male bashing.
I don't feel like critiquing history and male bashing, critiquing the patriarchy and male bashing is very different.
Much like what Claire said, get mad at their policies, don't get mad at us.
That's right.
Get mad at what they have done to women.
That's
Don't
right.
get mad at us for, dissecting it.
And also, like, we are here for your opinions as well. Just like be here for ours, I guess, then.
Of course.
Yeah.
And like you don't have to listen to us if you think that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think I implore everyone to like watch telling women not to male bash, because it should be a safe space to be able to dissect
Yes.
a lot of bad behavior so that we can change that behavior.
Yes. And again, like, I have space for how you feel, but allow us to just like at least try to stick up for ourselves a little bit.
Of
you
course.
know?
And also to stick up for people in history.
Yes.
Like it's, white men have historically
Behave badly.
done some bad shit, just like we're going to talk about in this story.
That's right. Democrat or Republican.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's, for all the 2 men listening, that's for you to maybe, just
Exactly. Examine.
examine within yourself.
That's true.
Okay, so sources to start out. We have a CNN timeline article.
Oh,
We have-
CNN. She means business.
She means business, honey. I have papers today, no
Yeah.
laptop, because I feel very like journalist.
Journalist.
Chic in my sweatpants.
And my Uggs.
We have a Vanity Fair article.
Oh, gorgeous.
We have impeachment on FX, which, because it was Monica's, approval of that, I got such a better understanding of her.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just loved the show.
Mhm.
We have Wikipedia.
Of course, our stepfather.
And we have You're Wrong About, which is our older sibling podcast.
Our smart older sister.
The Monica Lewinsky episode.
Love.
Which I listened to twice, and it just like brought me this sense of comfort in a way I can't express.
That's what You're Wrong About will do.
Exactly.
They're so good.
And so I'm going to start out with a quote actually from Sarah Marshall, who is the co-host of You're Wrong About,
Oh, mm-hmm.
of what she says about the entire case. She says, "There's no way to be sexual or not sexual as a woman without doing it wrong and destroying America. Now that is a fact."
Woo. And there it is.
And I went back to find that because the first time I listened to it, I got like kind of chills. And I was just like, that is this entire episode. Like, she kind of was doomed from the start, like most women are in any sort of sexual scandal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't want to be there.
You don't want to be there.
No.
I
It's not going to be kind for you.
Of course not. Good God.
Yeah.
And I will offer a trigger warning. There will be some discussions about sexual assault and rape. And that was something that I was not aware of, that
Yeah.
this would be that would be in this conversation. All right. So let's get into it.
Let's do it.
We have Monica Samil Lewinsky.
Samil.
Samil.
Huh?
Okay, not sure where that comes from. She was born July 23rd, 1973.
Leo.
Yes.
Okay.
Which makes so much sense. She is bubbly. She is charismatic. She's outgoing. She wants to be the center of attention.
She's the star of the show.
She's the star of the show.
Does she have great hair? Oftentimes Leos do.
She has great, full, dark, black, like curly, voluminous hair.
There it is.
And some people liked it.
Oh.
Maybe a little too much.
Some silver foxes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. So this story's a little bit close to home. She was born in San Francisco. But then they moved to Southern California. They first moved to Brentwood.
Oh.
And then later relocating to Beverly Hills.
Rich.
So what do her parents do? Her dad, Bernard, was an oncologist.
Oh, okay.
What's an oncologist again?
They work with cancer.
Oh, okay. He was the son of German Jews who escaped from Nazi Germany.
Oh my God.
So there is some generational trauma. I feel in this family. It feels like a heavy situation at home.
Well, it wouldn't be Ram if there wasn't generational trauma.
Exactly. But this I thought was kind of funny, and much like One of Us, her mom, Marcia Kay, was an author, and she wrote a gossip biography called The Private Lives of the Three Tenors.
Oh my God.
Which I was like, let's read it.
Yes.
So
let's write a gossip.
I feel like
memoir?
she was very like, even like how her character was depicted on the FX show, she was very into shopping and gossip and ladies who lunch and wine lunches and like
what a time in Beverly Hills and Brentwood to be that too.
I mean, we talk about this all the time of like how we wanted so badly just to like see what LA life was like before like social media, you know, and like that sort of wealth.
The socialites in that circle. She probably knew Kathy Hilton.
Oh, I'm sure. But I did the calculator because I was like, let's see what kind of home that she did grow up in. So she grew up in a $1.6 million home in Beverly Hills, which today would be 3.6.
Okay.
Which I think I'm so like fucked up because I'm like 3.6 is like
the housing market has changed though, Tess, because there's literally a $3.6 million house in Venice that's like a 1-bedroom, and it's like it's just crazy.
It's not okay.
We're not living in the same world.
No, and it just makes your perception of this so skewed.
Yes,
but it was a big, gorgeous house. She went to Beverly Hills High School and then later transferred to Bel Air Prep.
Okay.
Wealth,
no kidding.
But early high school, her parents divorced, and it was not a pretty time.
It's a really tough time.
Very tough. She was really close to her mom. They were more like best friends, you know, in a way that like
her mom was the mom who's like, my daughter is my best friend.
Exactly. From what I could perceive, maybe just a little confusing, not the normal,
right?
You know, power dynamics.
She's not a regular mom. She's a cool mom.
She's a cool mom.
Yeah.
True. Oh my God. Truly though. I'm like, she reminds me so much of Regina George's
like,
mom.
There's no alcohol in here, but why
But
do you want some?
So good. And Monica would see her dad, unfortunately, being pretty aggressive with her mom. Even before they got divorced, she saw a lot of like him telling her, I don't want your opinion. I'm not interested in what you have to say. Don't interrupt me when I'm speaking. Like just a very toxic marriage, honestly. But Lewinsky's former headmaster, Richard Makoff, said that he remembers Monica being a very nice kid, a pretty normal young lady. The only extracurricular activity she was involved in was chorus.
Oh, she's a choir girl.
And Leos, they like to
perform.
They like to perform.
Of course.
And we don't blame her for that. So after she graduates, she goes to Santa Monica College.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Right down the road?
Right down the road. While she's still working for the drama department at her high school.
I'm surprised that she went to Santa Monica College, though.
So
not that it's not a great school. I imagined her going to like a state school or a private school.
I was surprised, too. I think this is just like my interpretation of it. I think like high school, like, and her parents' divorce may have been a little bit tough on her.
Yeah.
I think she was someone that always kind of went to class to socialize.
Hey, I understand.
And we get that. I mean, talk about the motivation when you're 16. You're like, I want to flirt with boys and see my friends.
And sing.
Exactly.
And choir.
Exactly. So she still worked at her high school. I think she was trying to figure things out. She also worked at a tie shop, which I will say is a foreshadow.
A tie shop?
Like a men's tie shop.
Oh.
And while she was still working for the high school drama department, this is when she began having an affair with this man named Andy Blelier, her married former high school drama teacher when she was 18 and he was 40.
Ugh, Andy, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, she originally got close to him because she babysat his children.
Oh, that's tough.
So this is like truly like the nightmare that
That everyone like talks about.
everyone has, like
Yeah.
having the hot high school
No kidding. Nanny,
babysitter.
yeah.
His wife, Kate Nasson, writes that she was most taken originally with Monica's body sense of humor, saying she always made me laugh and always made me blush. So like she really liked her too. I think like she came into her room and like I think Monica flirted with everybody.
There are those women who are like, I don't know if this is the right word. It's just because I'm rewatching Real Housewives of New York and it's where Luann is like on a tangent and Bethany calls her a barracuda. And like, you know,
I know exactly what you mean.
yeah.
I think her energy was always like at a 10.
She's just like infectious.
She's infectious. And so she actually ends up transferring out of Santa Monica College to Lewis and Clark College. Have you heard of Lewis and Clark?
There was like a recreational store growing up called Lewis and Clark.
It's in Oregon.
Okay.
I'm like, is it outside of Portland, I want to say? But she transfers there and she ends up still having this affair while she's there. So they're together for 5 years.
Oh my God. Like, and he stays married?
He stays married. The wife Kate knew about this, but Andy sort of like gaslit her. And I couldn't find like much about like that dynamic, but I think he was very much like, I'm her mentor. And like, I knew her when she was a kid sort of thing.
Also, like marriages are just so complicated. Like sometimes it's just like, it is what it is.
I know. And I think that relationship at her time when she was at Lewis and Clark was very much like over the phone affair.
Yeah. Oh, doesn't that come into play later too?
The woman loves a phone.
Loves phone sex.
You know, everyone has their thing.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's for me, but you know.
Well, also, we're not living in the age of phone calls as much anymore either.
No, that is true. And we had Snapchat during that time.
Yeah,
you know?
we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. But anyway, so I think like even hearing that, you're like, oh my God, she's having an affair with a married man. She babysat his kids. I think like it is so easy to judge Monica.
But then let's also remember that she's a child still.
Exactly.
Just because you're legally an adult doesn't like, think about yourself at 18. And I know that we actually have some high school listeners and I know you feel like an adult right now and you're just not.
I completely agree, Claire. It's like this whole time you just have to remember that she's doing everything for the first time. You know, and I think just to have some sensitivity like around the language that we use to describe someone like this, because it's like, oh yeah, she's a homewrecker, you could say. And at the same time, you could be like, she's being groomed by a 40-year-old.
Also, it's like she's not the one who's married. Like he's the one who's married and has kids.
Well, we will see this throughout the entire story that she gets pretty much blamed for everything. And she is the one who is, you know, doesn't really have commitments, who is too young to know better in a lot of ways. Like,
of course.
So, yeah, I just think that it's like,
it's also so easy to go there in your mind because we all have internalized sexism and stuff too. So it's a good reminder just to like check yourself for a second, you know?
Of course. And just with like her nature, you know, I think like she just gets in trouble for this. Of being like, well, she was asking for it.
Yep.
She initiated it, which like enough of that shit.
Yeah.
So they end up breaking up. Who
Okay.
knows what happens? I think he like made some statement about it when he was trying to get some publicity, but
Ugh.
like, of course, are we shocked?
No.
But I don't think there's ever like that much detail of what happened. But she's now single, and her parents' friends who are rich are like, oh, we have some connections. If you know, Monica seems like she's kind of aimlessly, you know.
What's she doing in Oregon now?
Truly. They're like, would she have any interest in having an unpaid internship at the White House?
Wow.
And her dad's like, yes.
Immediately.
He's like, she would love to do that.
Wow, that is crazy.
It's like literally there's so many things in this story of just like who you know and like kind of nepotism.
I mean, that's the way that the world works.
And that's the way that like politics work.
Of course.
So she's like, hell yeah. And I think she's very much like, I love the idea of this because like she's not a very like passionate person about politics, about journalism, about anything that like she might be getting like interest there. I mean, she's like smart and she's hardworking, but I think she's a little bit like, well, shit.
What a crazy thing, because I feel like just DC is such an intense place to go. So to go there without having any like interest in it is wild.
I'd feel so intimidated. I'd be like, is there like a celebrity portion of the White House where we can like,
So what are we talking about? Pop culture?
yeah, go over people's outfits that they've worn to like inaugurations and stuff?
What Paris Hilton said, legislation is hot.
It is hot. Sliving.
Sliving.
So who's the president at the time, Claire? Who is the president at this time?
Would it be Bill Clinton?
That would be little Bill.
Oh, Billy.
Oh, Billy. So by the time he meets Monica in 1995, he had already been president for 2 years. He was previously the governor of Arkansas,
Hey, shout out, woo pig.
which we love our Arkansas Angel.
Thank you.
And like I kind of said at the beginning, he was very much like the first boomer president.
Oh, right.
You know, he's this like young guy, and he's coming after, you know,
Bush,
the
right?
Reagan Bush like years.
Oh, yeah. And so people are like, sorry, but people are like, please give us a Democrat.
People are like, holy shit, he, you know, had his ideas reflected a third wave political philosophy, coining him as a new Democrat.
And he could play the saxophone. How
And
cool.
He could play the saxophone. And he was very charismatic.
Mhm.
People said that when he looked at you, it was like he was only looking at you,
I believe it.
which I believe too. I mean, I think I've said before, when I was like 8, I remember looking at a photo of him being like, I'm attracted to him.
There's something about him. He's got that razzle dazzle.
And he like seems a little toxic.
yeah, of
and,
course.
You
And
know,
who doesn't love that?
and he is. He really, really is. So he's married to Queen icon legend Hillary Clinton,
Hillary Rodham Clinton.
which we love Hillary.
Sorry, she is our queen, icon, and legend.
And we're going to talk about her also and just her involvement in this and how people, you know, still are very angry
Yeah.
at her with all of this. And they had one daughter, Chelsea, at the time, who was 14. Chelsea is still alive. I don't know why I worded it that way. She was 14 when all of this was going down,
Oh, that sucks.
which is really tough.
It would just suck to have your parent be the president.
Yeah.
Never forget that movie, My Date with the President's Daughter, though, that pink, like, velvet dress.
Also, First Daughter with Katie Holmes.
Yes.
I could really feel that movie, actually.
I don't know if I've actually ever seen that all the
Oh,
way through.
Oh, you would love it.
I'll watch.
Oh, it's so good. So here are some of the big political choices that Bill has made in his first term, just
Okay.
to like paint a little bit picture of like what's going on at the White House, what kind of president he is, what are his policies. A few little quick things. Clinton proposed to allow queer people to serve openly in the military.
I love.
That got rejected, so they
Oh.
compromised on adopt, ask, don't tell, which protected gay people from
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, why say adopt? Don't ask, don't tell, which protected gay people from being asked. He tried to reverse some conservative abortion restrictions. He aimed at achieving universal coverage through a national health care plan with the help of Hillary. Hillary was like, that was what she was primarily involved with during his first couple years. Like, she really was passionate about healthcare.
Ugh, what a concept.
Truly. What else was he doing? He mandated federal background checks on people who bought firearms.
Wow.
Thank God.
Thank God.
He condemned discrimination of those with HIV and focused on a cure for HIV and AIDS. So,
Amazing.
you know, he's really trying to reverse a lot of the more conservative Republican policies that were so deeply embedded in this country. I mean, the 80s, you know, were not
The 80s were a tough time if you were not like a white, wealthy person.
very tough time. And so I think he came in and he was like, fuck all this, let's go. And people were like, ah! And a lot of people hated that
Of
because
course.
I think people were like, oh, now it's different. America's going to be different.
Well, and it's just threatening what those people who are afraid of. It's threatening their safety, which is it's not actually threatening their safety, but that's how they feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of controversy with Bill. Have you heard of the Whitewater investigation?
It's something in Arkansas, right?
Yeah. So Whitewater basically like haunts him for his entire presidency. And I thought it was going to be like something crazy. And I think it's just like a sort of tactic that Republicans took to like really bring him down, like we see with so many things. Basically, this guy, David Hale, alleged that while governor of Arkansas, Clinton pressured Hale to provide an illegal $300,000 loan to Susan McDougal, the Clintons' partner in the Whitewater land deal. So
it's like a land deal.
It's a land deal that's like a little sketch.
That they were like, you did something unsavory with that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this will this will just follow him throughout. That people are like, well, let's get him for Whitewater and let's see how we can impeach him because of Whitewater.
They were pissed, and so they were just trying to find what they could.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they had investigations forever. And this guy, Ken Starr, which we're going to be hearing his name quite a bit, ended up finding insufficient evidence to prosecute the Clintons, but God, he was trying.
Okay, so when you also say the Clintons were people like Anne Hillary.
And Hillary.
Yeah.
So pretty much everything that Bill is about to do and has done in his life, in his personal life and political life, Hillary is judged for it 10 times as much as Bill Clinton is.
I don't think we've ever seen like a presidential duo in the way of like both of them, I feel like, being so active in politics as we have the Clintons.
Well, people just hated Hillary from the start because of her, quote, cold nature. And I think
I love a cold bitch, by the way.
I mean, truly though, and you really do.
I really,
you really do.
Also, I don't find her cold.
I find her
She's mama.
I find her very warm.
too.
And like people are always like, what is wrong with you? And I think also like when you look at the start of their career, like she was a lawyer
Yeah,
and she was like the breadwinner.
right. They both went to Yale, right?
They both went to, yeah, it was Yale, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and I think like he looked up to her, and I think even throughout his presidency, like he went to her being like, "What do I do?" And
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh, honey, just give me the let me sign the goddamn thing."
Also,
for you."
like, it's not her job to be warm or cold. It's
No.
just like, yeah, she's not the president.
No, and this is just such a conversation, and also like just internalized sexism, which
Yeah.
we'll get into. Okay, so that was the first sort of like controversy. And then many allegations in regards to sexual assault and harassment that Clinton had, which this is really what I didn't know about. So I knew about Jennifer Flowers, who was a club singer, and she went on TV and said that she was Bill Clinton's lover for 12 years.
Like, while he was governor?
While he was governor, not consensual.
It was or wasn't?
It was
Okay.
consensual. And then we had actress Elizabeth Grayson, Miss Arkansas winner Sally Purdue,
Oh my God,
and Dolly
guys.
Kyle Browning all claimed they had affairs with Clinton during his time as governor of Arkansas.
It's like, how long are you even governor? My God.
I mean, like the time that, like, how do you have the time?
how do you have the time?
Also, like, how stupid can you be?
That is what is so frustrating about all of this. It's also like, just don't.
Just don't. Like, you have the world watching you, especially like you're going to run for fucking president. Obviously, people don't really care because he ended up
Yeah, well,
winning.
it doesn't seem to be very high standards these days to be president.
No,
so.
and you can kind of pretty much, I guess, do anything as a white man.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's not always repercussions. And then there are allegations of the sexual assault. And I do believe that this is important to talk about and for these names of these women to be recognized, because this was in the show was the first time I realized all of the people that came forward and were pretty much shut down, you know, by him and his team and men working for him that made them feel really stupid for it.
Well, you have like the most powerful people in the nation, if not the world. Like, what a scary thing to go up against.
Literally. And we just, you know, we saw this with Kavanaugh, we saw this with Trump, that like it is really hard when there is such the power dynamics of, you know, these like women that don't have much and they're risking everything, and he ends up just being like, oh, that's such a lie.
Yeah,
But like,
and to have to like relive your trauma on a national stage.
I know. So in 1994, Paula Jones initiated, and this is going to be the one that we're going to talk about probably the most when we get into lawsuit stuff with Monica. So Paula Jones initiated a sexual harassment lawsuit against Clinton, claiming he asked her to come up to his hotel room. He exposed himself and asked her to kiss it.
Ugh.
And Clinton denied those allegations. It was dismissed, and then we're going to talk about it later because then it comes back.
So he was president at that time.
He wasn't. This is when he was governor.
94?
Wait, 94. Oh, no, this was when he was president. Yeah, I think he was.
But did she come out with those allegations in 94 when he was president, but they had happened prior, maybe?
That's it.
Okay.
Yes. I think it had happened when he was governor, when he was like doing some like lobbying or something. And she was working as like a front desk, like checking people in. And he saw her and thought that she was cute and asked her to come up. And yeah, remember the name Paula Jones.
Okay.
In 1998, Catherine Wiley alleged that Clinton had groped her in the hallway of the Oval Office.
Oh my God. Like, there's no chill to be found. Like,
I know.
it's crazy when you hear about these grown men behaving this way?
The most powerful man in the world with people watching you with
It
it's
is
just wild.
at the top. You should be on the one that everyone is looking to for and have. Oh my God! I mean, this is all so obvious. It's just like so frustrating.
No, he's like, I mean, he's literally a moron and
no
like,
kidding and disgusting.
and he's disgusting and he's a predator and it's very disappointing to say the least.
God, we like just got started.
Oh, I know. Oh, just wait.
God.
Also in 1998, Juanita Broderick alleged that Clinton had raped her in the spring of 1978, although she did not remember the exact date.
Ugh.
To support her charge, Broderick notes that she had told multiple witnesses in 78 that she had been raped by Clinton. Something these witnesses also stated in interviews to the press.
Ugh. It's awful.
So, I know it's a lot to take in, but, you know, it's important to know what this man was doing and what he was and is capable of and how he is abusing this position of power.
It's just awful. It just like really sucks. Like I know that you shared this and like the way that you grew up of like they're the good guys and they're the bad guys and it's not that clear.
It is not that clear. Oh, it's just really tough to come to terms with that. Like politicians are, they're not like heroes.
Well, and it's like the people who should be politicians aren't, and the people who are politicians should not be. You know what I mean? It's like it takes a certain type of personality to get far in this industry.
Okay, show. Now back to Monica. There's no easy
I feel like
transition.
it's going to be like so many tangents on this episode too, because we're just like, I'm trying to work through what I'm feeling.
We're trying to work through a lot of it. Like
Yeah.
I kind of like feel like I am.
And we're on Sudafed.
Exactly, which is a gorgeous drug. Okay, so Monica. We have 21-year-old Monica. She's working at the White House. She's leasing a huge 1-bedroom hotel room, like a suite in the Watergate Hotel.
It all goes back to Watergate,
It
I
all
guess.
goes back to listen to our Watergate episode. Her parents put her up there. She's a rich girl. She's a rich girl.
She's like Tinsley living in a hotel.
She's literally Tinsley. And so she starts this internship and she's really like having the time of her life.
Wow.
And she notices the president. And it's not until there's like this birthday party for someone out in like the lawn that the interns get to go to, where she says that she sees him and she's like, oh my God. Like that's when I knew that like he had something. Like I felt drawn to him. I got this instant crush. The way that he talked to all of us. He would look at you in the eye for a second too long. He would hold your hand when he was shaking it for a little too long. And she was like, I was kind of wondering, like, is he attracted to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there's just one day that she's wearing this like sage green suit that he kind of is like looking at her more. And so she starts wearing that suit like more and more to see if like
He
remembers.
notices.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Also, it's like, it's this thing of when I talked to Alice about this not that long ago, like when you go to a concert and you're like, they're going to fall in love with me or something. It's like seeing someone, a man in power.
100. Were you guys talking about? I know who you're talking about.
You know who we are. This episode's like controversial enough. We can't bring it there.
I was like, I won't say. But of course.
Of course.
It's like when you were like had a crush on someone too in high school, like, and they were performing like during like a musical, and you were like, they're thinking of me, and they're looking at me. So she started getting a little bit more bold with what she's doing. There's one day where she sees him and she bends over to pick something up and she raises her thong.
Oh my God.
So that he can see it and she sees that he's looking and she just starts playing this little game of like, what can I do to get him going? She's a horny little thing.
Cat and mouse.
Cat and mouse. He'd stare at her. She's like, okay, I think it's like mutual. Like there's a mutual attraction
I think
here.
it's like a game. It's like, can I get the president of the United States?
This entire thing is going to end up being a game to her. Like she thinks it's
And
something.
it's a game to him too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there's less emotional stake for him. And there's
course.
all the emotional stake for her, which is tough. And that's why like there's so much intensity in this episode. It also feels like high school.
Yeah.
It literally feels like she wears short skirts. I wear t-shirts.
Totally. He's the president and I'm in the bleachers.
Like literally.
Wow.
So one night, there is a government shutdown happening this week.
It feels like those are happening all the time lately. Like, can we figure it out?
And I don't know.
No,
I don't
know
know
the first thing about that.
So she says it kind of feels like summer school because usually the interns are not allowed to be like in proximity to the Oval Office. Like they kind of have their own section. But because the government shut down, the staff is very like skeletal. And so there's only like a few people working with the president. And then they're like, all right, all bets are off. Like interns can be wherever. They can be up close and personal with him. They can be at the desks that they're not usually at. And so all the interns are like, what? Like it must be like kind of fun, actually.
It would be so fun. Because like you have to like work anyway, so might as well like it is like that summer school thing. You're
Exactly.
Like, it's not real.
I know. And like hot summer nights in DC.
Swampy nights.
Swampy. So she's staying late one night. She's delivering something to the office of George Stephanopoulos, who works next to the president. She's putting some papers down on his desk. And Bill is working like in the room right next to it, and the door is open. So you can't close a lot of the doors at the White House. Like there's like policies against like which doors you can close or not due to like
that's fair.
security and stuff.
Yeah.
And also like
there shouldn't be too many secrets.
Exactly.
You know?
So Bill can see her drop something off, and he comes into George's office and he goes, "Oh, like I haven't had a chance to talk to you yet. Why don't you come into my office?" So she goes with him next door. They're chatting.
His office isn't like the Oval Office?
It's another private office.
Okay, got it.
It's like a mini office where like he actually gets shit done. Like, because I feel like the Oval Office is actually more for like performative.
It's for show.
It's for show.
Oh, God, we need a tour of the White House.
We need to do a Rammy tour.
Please.
It's right off.
Yeah.
It's right off trips to DC. So she's really nervous. She's like kind of short of breath. You know, he's asking her like, "So where are you from? How'd you get here? Where'd you go to school? What do you want to do? What are your dreams?" And she just ends up blurting out, "Okay, I'm so sorry to say this, but I have an insane crush on you." Monica. And he looks at her and he's kind of taken aback. And he goes, "Why, thank you. Why don't you come into my private office?"
Oh, my God.
Like,
he's like, it's go time.
Jesus Christ. Like, take a breather,
no
too.
kidding.
So they go into his private office.
Oh, my God. I can't believe she just told the president of the United States, I have a crush on you.
Which, like, you're like, that is insane. I'm also like, I admire your confidence.
It's like, if not now, then when?
It's crazy.
When do you get this opportunity?
Like, imagine being 21 and saying that to let alone someone you have a crush on casually, and then the fucking president.
The leader of the free world.
It's wild. So they end up going into his office and they kiss. For now.
Tongue?
I think it's a makeout.
If I don't, yeah, of course. I mean, they're not
I think
gonna
it's
peck.
a,
Come on.
you know,
what am I even asking?
I think it's a dirty makeout.
It definitely is.
There is some
on the desk.
Yeah.
Is that inappropriate for me to like?
No.
Okay.
No, you can fantasize about it a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Everyone has. Lord knows I was during winter break. So, okay. So this becomes a routine thing, needless to say, where she goes into the office late at night.
God, it's just like, and her world has changed forever.
Yeah.
Our world has changed forever.
She must feel like she's like floating on a cloud of like, what is this? Like, what a weird fever dream. It feels so wrong. It feels so right. And so she describes her encounters with him as someone with lethal charm, which I thought was poignant.
Poignant. Thank you for taking us there.
Of course. Throughout the next month, the pair exchanged notes, phone calls, several gifts. By the end of the affair, totaling 30 gifts from her that she gives to Bill, and he gives Monica 18 gifts.
What do we know what the gifts are?
They are ties.
Oh, well,
Remember that tie shop she's working at?
Yeah, she knows her
She
stuff.
loves the ties. He'll go on like he'll go to another city and do whatever he's doing there as president and bring back like something from like the souvenir shop.
An I Heart New York shirt. I never got one.
Oh, fuck.
I
I know.
know.
We have next time.
Yeah.
We have
I'll
next
order
time.
it online.
He's giving her little like trinkets. He gives her like his favorite book. She gives him her favorite
classic.
book. It's like, it's all that kind of
Gave her
shit.
like an Ernest Hemingway book or
like,
something.
literally.
Yeah.
So some other little just numbers to shout out. So they had 6 sexual encounters before having a real conversation that was longer than a minute.
What?
So all of this is like, "Hey, how was your day? It was good." And then she starts performing oral sex on him.
Before they so it was just like purely a sexual physical affair.
It was purely sexual. And it was like the bare minimum. Like he'd be like, "Oh, you look really pretty today," and she'd be like, "You're my boyfriend."
Oh.
So by the 6th time that she had given him oral sex, then they finally spent more than 10 minutes together.
Oh my God. She's doing this just at a White House office?
Uh-huh.
So this is why they have the open door policy.
Yep.
Oh my God.
So she is going down on him like there's no tomorrow.
Oh my God.
and this is what they said on You're Wrong About. Michael Hobbs, who was hosting, was like, I'm so sorry that I have to like say all like we're talking about like ejaculation and like orgasming, but this is all the stuff that like ends up being very important detail because
my
this is how they
God.
try to impeach him. And it's like it all has to add up. So sorry to say this, you guys, but for the first 8 blowjobs that she gives him, he doesn't orgasm because he says, I can't trust you enough to orgasm, and that would be going too far.
What? I'm sorry, your dick is in her mouth. Like, to be so crass, like now it's going too far?
So he literally, like, before he gets to completion, he goes, no, I can't, because he thinks in his sick little fucking head
Oh, there's always...
that it's not cheating if he doesn't finish.
That is so classic. So what does he... Again, not to get into too much details, but like, does he finish himself off? Or does he just get insane blue balls?
That's actually a great question. I don't know if he would like make her watch.
I feel like
He probably
he
would.
probably did.
Yeah, actually, that is true. I'm like, is that in the report? I mean, it definitely is because she had to
just like thumbing through.
truly just like, just like late at night. Their clothes also never came off during these encounters.
Ew, that's just like so haunting.
It is haunting, and I'm like, when should I say?
8 times before he ejaculated?
Yep, and then okay, so I'll stop there because then it gets in. Okay,
8 times.
so yeah, so right now he's very much at this point where he's like, I need to be faithful,
And I'm guessing, oh my gosh. I'm faithful to my woman. I'm guessing that the favor is never reciprocated.
It was reciprocated, I believe once, where he brought her to orgasm one time with hands.
I thought you were going to say like dry humping with jeans.
I mean, like, wouldn't be surprised
I
at this
know.
point. Like, good God.
It's like, it is high school shit.
It is high school shit.
Wow.
So Clinton's team was like, actually, they weren't really 100% sure what was going on. They could tell that Monica like had a crush on him. And I think his secretary really knew because she would like lead her in there and be like, okay, like I think his secretary kind of like protected both of them.
Ugh.
But other people on the team actually weren't like, oh, Clinton's doing anything wrong. They were like, it's this annoying 21-year-old who's like obsessed with
I'm
him.
shocked because it's like, yes, he's doing that with Monica. He's clearly done that with other women.
That is the thing about why this whole Bill Clinton is like so frustrating because when he would say like, absolutely not, like these women are trying to bring me down and marriage and my marriage to Hillary, so many people would blindly follow him and just believe him.
Well, how many members of his team were men?
Most.
Okay. So I'm like, and there it is.
And when I was watching the Hillary documentary actually the other night too, just to, because there is like a 20-minute part of that episode all about.
It sucks that she has to answer for this.
Of course, it's in her fucking 3-part documentary. And it takes up that much time. But her friends were then being like, and her chief of staff when she was first lady was like, yeah, Bill was shady and we all knew it. But Hillary just like was so... we'll get into it.
Okay. It looks like I'm crying if you're watching too. It's just the cold.
It's coming out.
Well, it is also an upsetting story so far. Like, my God. 8 times and it wasn't reciprocated, but like once.
Ladies, raise the bar.
No kidding.
We talked about this in the Vibrator episode too.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what's going on, you need to get with another man.
No kidding.
Or woman.
That's right.
So basically Clinton's team is like, Monica is so fucking annoying. We're going to transfer her to a paid position at the Office of Legislative Affairs at the Pentagon.
Oh my God. So completely different building.
Completely different. But they're like, okay, this is like a good, she can't complain because it's paid.
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. Well, but she's a rich girl. She don't care.
She's like, honey, I'm staying at the Watergate Hotel. So they say the official reason they give her is inappropriate and immature behavior and inattention to work. Which sounds like
us.
Sounds like my middle school report card every single
That's also
semester.
so embarrassing to get by the White House.
Just like, you're not doing a good job.
You're annoying.
You're annoying
You
as
won't
hell.
stop talking.
And we can't stand you.
And you're being inappropriate. Yeah, that does
Which
sound
just
like
does
us.
kind of make me laugh. So this is where
Can we make that our Instagram bio just for this week?
Yes. Oh my God, let's do it. Oh my God, let's. So this is a very life-altering moment for Monica and how we will see the story really take off, because this is where she meets the infamous and the complicated villain that if I've ever seen one, Linda Tripp.
And this is who Sarah Paulson plays. Unrecognizable, by the way.
It took me 2 episodes, and I was like, God, she has like something with her lips. And I was like, oh, it's Sarah Paulson. And it looks so much like her.
I think I love Sarah Paulson.
Oh, I think she's so comforting to me.
Me too.
I love her. So who's Linda?
Who's Linda?
So Linda worked in the White House during the Reagan and Bush administration. She was a very conservative person who hated the way the Clintons did things, resented the new White House, resented Bill. And she was working for Bill for, I want to say, like 2 years, until
What was she doing?
she was working specifically for Vince Foster, who was an attorney who served as deputy White House counsel. And I think she was like, I want to say she was his assistant or secretary or something, where like she didn't have a powerful job,
Okay.
but she thought she did.
Oh.
To paint a little picture of Linda, she's like someone that's like star fuckery.
Oh.
Very much like, do you know how much I've been, you don't know what I've been through. Like very dramatic. I'm like, how else would I describe her? Self-involved, nosy.
Oh, what a woman.
Yeah. So she's working for Vince Foster, and he dies by suicide kind of unexpectedly. And it is
God.
this like, it kind of shakes the White House. She was one of the last people to speak to him. She actually like really liked working for him, even though she hated working like during the Clinton administration. So she too is actually asked to leave the White House and go to the Pentagon as well. And reasons which she will always say to this day, they just didn't like me. No one's ever liked me because I'm like an outspoken woman. No one's liked me because of the way that I look.
Do you think that there's some validity to that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think she was obnoxious. And
Like, get her out of here.
I think she was just one of those people that everyone was like, yeah, you work for the White House, but like, stop coming into our office when we're like talking about the nuclear codes. Like,
Got it.
but she would be like, I know the nuclear codes because I've worked, you know what I mean?
I would love to like honestly have a cocktail with her.
You might not want to share too much with her, Claire,
I know.
after what you hear.
We know these types.
We know these types. So they're like, look, Linda, get out, but we'll offer you $20,000 more a year. So they're kind of doing the same thing that they did to Monica.
Like, is
being
that
like,
enough?
I know. And she is devastated because she feels so powerful at the White House.
She's like telling all of her friends like that she's president.
Literally.
Yeah, she's like, he's in the office, but I tell him what to do.
Exactly.
Got it.
And I think a lot of her frustration with the Clintons came from just her not agreeing with their policies. And also, do you remember the name of Kathleen Wiley? She was one of the victims that said that she worked at the White House and said that that Bill had groped her.
Yes, in the hall.
In the hall.
Yeah.
So Kathleen had confided in Linda about that when they both worked there. And Linda was like, that's disgusting. You need to like say something. And Kathleen was like, but they're offering me now a new job with a higher position. So I feel like I can't.
Oh gosh, that's so not fair.
So Linda has always just hated Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
She's like, he can do anything he wants. There's no repercussions. Like, we need to take this man down. So Linda now is working at the Pentagon. She's depressed. She's trying to find her way to the top. And so she contacts this woman named Lucianne Goldberg, who was a sleazy but successful literary agent and author who did a lot of books when people were like, I want to talk about my time at the White House. I want to talk about my time.
She's like a ghostwriter?
She's
just an author?
She's an agent.
Oh, an agent. Okay,
so a lot of people would be like, help me.
Got it.
So Linda calls Lucianne. And she's like, I beg of you, like, I just need to feel something again. Like, she's truly like, I'm so depressed at the Pentagon. She's like, I could talk about Vince Foster and,
She wants to write a book.
She wants to write a book. And this agent is like, sweetheart, no one cares. It's been done. I have so many, like, people that always are like, I could, she's like, it's done. There's nothing that you can say. And so Linda's like, fuck, I need to find a way to the top again.
Mm-hmm.
So then one day in walks 22-year-old now, Monica, who is sulking. Linda's paying attention to her. She's kind of looking at her in her cubicle and she's like, she's young, she's cute, she's well dressed.
I mean, if I were Monica, that would suck.
I know. And she's like interested in her. She finds this connection. I think in a way she sees herself in her in some ways. She's like, oh, this poor girl. She's like constantly staring at the phone. She's realizing constantly.
Oh my God.
She notices that she's on an intense diet, much like Linda, and they might share some food and body trauma. They're very connected by diets. Their diets.
That's just so 90s. Like, can't.
The whole show, they're just like always talking about like, they're on Weight Watchers.
Oh my God. I thought you were going to say Atkins, but
No,
yeah.
they're on Weight Watchers. So one day Linda's like, I'm going to ask her to lunch and let's see what happens. Linda at first is like, I felt kind of maternal towards her. She was the youngest person working there. I was like, what is your story? And Monica and her develop a friendship during lunch at work. They start talking. They feel like there's a safe space. Like their relationship is a little bit like mother-daughter. Like Linda's like, oh, honey, like, what are you eating today? And she's like, well, I've been really good.
This is crazy.
It's crazy.
But Linda doesn't know that the man that she hates is the man that Monica loves.
So Monica tells her for the first few weeks, Linda just has a feeling. She's like, are you lovesick or something? Like, I see you just like staring at the phone.
She's like, I've been 22 before.
Literally. And Monica's like, well, okay, yes, I do like someone and I don't know if he likes me back and he hasn't called me, but he is married. And Linda's like, oh, sweetheart, like
She's
what?
like smoking a cigarette all of a sudden.
She is a smoker.
Oh, perfect.
She is a smoker. And she's like, and she's nosy. So she's like, tell me about it. And so she pushes and pushes until after about 2 to 3 months, Monica finally opens up and
3
tells
months?
Linda.
That's so long to hold on to that.
Well, I
but I
think
guess it's such a big deal.
Exactly, because I think she's like, and she told her mom that she and the president kissed, but I don't think she was keeping her updated with like.
I'm sorry. Can you imagine your daughter calling you? Which we are the types that we tell our moms everything
For sure.
too, but
there's some things that it's like, wow,
that must be crazy. And then like that has to be. Well, the moms are also one of those people. It's like, well, I promise I won't tell anyone, and that doesn't include your mom.
Exactly. So yeah, she finally is like, Linda, do you know who it is? And Linda's like, who? And she's like, it's Bill Clinton. And Linda's like, and she is just like, what the fuck? And you know that she hates him. She hates, like, to her, he made her lose her job, everything that she's ever, like, loved. And so Monica then really opens up and gets very candid about the current situation that she and Bill Clinton are having. And it kind of, she said it quieted down a little bit after she moved to the Pentagon. But with more time and more distance, Monica would become more obsessed. So what she would start doing, which we've all done, she would show up to where she knew that he had an event or that he was doing something or that he was doing a public speaking thing.
Of course.
She would show up early, be in like a new outfit with red lipstick, and she would be in the front row and she would just stare at him.
Oh my God, Monica. Like, play it cool a little bit, maybe.
And try to get his attention.
Well, I mean, how could you not get his attention?
Exactly. And so then he would like look over and notice her and he'd be like, and there's footage of this at an event, which is crazy to see where he's like literally shaking people's hands and he sees her and she kind of like pushes her way forward through the crowd and looks at him and he shakes her hand for like a little bit too long and she's like staring and they're just like staring at each other. So when this would happen, then he would call her and be like, all right, come to my office. And his secretary would let Monica in, even though she wasn't working at the White House.
Okay, so yeah, she knew.
And this is the instance of the blue dress. This is like where they're getting hot and heavy again, where she's performing oral sex on him and he finally does finish. And
so again, like, why no penetration? He just thinks that that's cheating.
He will later say that this was not a sexual relationship because there was no intercourse.
That is the biggest crock of bullshit I've ever heard in my life.
So this is the blue dress, which is an important piece of evidence later.
So he,
this is, I tried to know about this. I was like, wow, the cigar incident.
I think I know what it is, but tell me, Tess.
He puts his cigar up her privates and then smokes it and says, I'm so sorry to be vulgar, but says, man, that tastes good.
Oh my God, I just snotted everywhere. I'm so sorry. Oh my God.
It's just like, wow.
That is crazy.
I'm
He's
like,
a dirty dog.
I'm sweating a little bit.
Me too. I had to take my cardigan off.
My back is drenched in sweat, I just realized.
Oh my God. Wait, that night or like just on another instance?
Another instance.
Is he smoking inside? I mean, yeah, I guess he wasn't like.
He actually may have not lit it, but he put it in his mouth to taste it. Which, on You're Wrong About, Sarah Marshall's like, I love that he did that because of all the vagina shame in the 90s of like, vaginas are gross. He's like, you know what? She's like, I kind of appreciate that. Which I was like, all right.
Reclaiming the narrative.
Reclaiming the narrative.
Oh my God.
And this is finally where I think he brings Monica to like a full orgasm.
Oh, wow. I mean.
Took long enough.
To be fair also, it's so inappropriate. It's not okay. It's also very hot. It just made Tess spit out her tea. Both of these things can be true.
Both of these, because it's like, if you don't think of him as this like disgusting predator,
Yeah. Have you just like take that away?
if you take that away, an affair with like it's like a romance novel.
It's a porn.
It's porn.
Yeah, it is.
And it is a little bit hot in some ways.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Sue me.
sue us, please.
Please
Actually,
don't, actually.
we don't.
Especially after this New York trip, we definitely cannot afford
Can't
it.
afford it. Did the budget on the Excel, and that was a terrifying
tough.
thing to see.
Tough to see.
However, so she is lovesick. She believes that she is in love with this man, that he is in love with her. On Valentine's Day, she writes something in the paper that's a cryptic, like, my love.
No.
It's like a Shakespearean thing, and she signs it Love M in like the personal section so that he sees it.
Monica.
And she can never call him, right? Because like
No.
you can't do that. So she just waits and waits and waits for him to call her and there's weeks that go by where he doesn't do anything, and that's usually when she would show up somewhere, and then the day later he would just be like, "Come on over."
That was such a good Bill Clinton test.
Oh God, I wanted to prepare a little bit more because he does have such a. It's like, oh.
Arr.
Arr. It's like Cher.
Cher and Bill Clinton never knew how similar they sounded. It's torture for her.
It's torture. And so what triggers Linda so much about this, I think she's just like, this is gross. And like, there's a part of her that feels protective of Monica because of the friendship they've kind of already established. There's another part where she's like, I hate him and I know that he's sexually harassed like my old coworker. And then I think what really pisses her off is when Monica confides in her saying, well, he, you know, to kind of like basically shut me up about all of this is that he's going to get me any job in the world that I want.
Did he say that to her?
He promised her that he would hook her up with. So he hooks her up with this guy, Vernon Jordan, who calls the UN and is like, do you want to interview at the UN? And Clinton's like, yeah, make sure that she gets that. In the show, Vernon Jordan grabs Monica's butt during this interview, which I believe happened because Monica was executive producer.
Yeah, she wouldn't like put that in if that didn't happen.
Exactly. And that was like really gross for me to watch because I think then I was also just like, she is just this young, like naive thing that thinks that her whole identity is male validation and sexual validation.
And also, like, I don't know if this is true at all, but I have to assume that Bill Clinton kind of told him what was going on, and then Vernon maybe was like, well, if
Let
he
me
can
make some
do that,
calls.
I can also grope her.
And I think Vernon was like, Bill probably called him and was like, I need a favor. And Vernon's like,
I know what this is about.
He's like, oh, you dirty little dog.
Yes.
Like, I'm always cleaning up your messes.
And then in Vernon's mind, he's like, she's loose,
exactly.
which is disgusting.
So, and it's very hard to get an interview at the UN. Like, that is very prestigious.
Except like with Love and Light, like she went to Santa Monica College.
I mean, truly. And Monica turns it down and says, I don't want to interview at the UN. She's like, I worked at the White House. I'm not trying to like stoop down to the UN. And so then they're like, well, what do you want to do? And she was like, I kind of wouldn't mind working for like a makeup company. And so Vernon gets her an interview at Revlon, and she ends up getting this job in New York.
She is like, it's just so funny because like people would die to be an intern at the White House and then die to get a interview at the UN.
And she's like, I'm
"No."
good. And I think she also like doesn't want to like, she's like resisting it because she wants to stay in DC because he's there, and she keeps like waiting for him.
Oh, Revlon in New York? Is that what you just said?
Revlon in New York.
Shit.
So she does get this job for now, and we'll table that.
Okay.
But I think this is like this main trigger that Linda had where she was just like, fuck that. I lost my job, and now this 22-year-old is offered anything. I think Linda was very much like, she's not that smart. She doesn't have an education or experience like me. And so she kind of starts getting competitive.
Well, I'd be pissed too.
I mean, same. It's
Yeah.
like, it's not fair. It's gross.
Yeah.
It's not right. And this ignites something very dark in Linda Tripp. And so remember that sleazy little book agent?
Yeah.
Lucianne?
Oh, no, Linda.
She calls her. And she's like, I know someone that is having an affair with Bill Clinton. And guess what? She was his intern at the White House. And Lucianne like rises from the dead. She's like drinking a martini in bed. And she's like, tell me. And she's like, talk. And Linda is like, well, what do I do? Like, how do I start this? And she goes, do you guys talk on the phone a lot? And she goes, yeah, we talk every night after work. Like, she goes, start recording the conversation.
Is so cunty.
And Linda's like, isn't that illegal?
This is all high school.
It's high school. And Linda's like, that's illegal. And Lucienne's like, yeah, it is, but people do it all the time. It's like, it's going to be fine. And this is going to be great for your book.
Oh my God.
So I'd like to now read, Claire, a transcript of these tapes
Oh my God.
that Linda ends up recording for months.
Oh my
Countless
God.
conversations that Monica thinks that she is confiding in a friend and a coworker and a maternal figure.
That's what I was about to say. It's also the maternal figure that like makes it even worse.
And the show like really shows that. And I have to say Sarah Paulson is such a fantastic actress because there's moments where you can see, which I'm not sure Linda Tripp's personal journey, where you can see her really feeling guilty and feeling conflicted and feeling like she's doing it for women and like being like, oh, I'm thinking of the bigger picture to take this man down. At the same time, it's shitty and it's such a...
And smart of Sarah Paulson to put that like humanization in her because it makes her so much more interesting as a character.
Exactly. And that's why the show is so good because the show is really about their friendship. And I think
I
you're
can't
just going to
wait.
love it. You're going to get so into it.
I mean, the OJ trial, the American Crime Story was like part of my research. It was so good. It's also like helpful to learn something and then watch it and then like really see it play out.
Totally.
You know?
And it just gives you like so much more like human like empathy for like
Yes.
all of these people except for Bill Clinton because you're just
it's tough.
you're an idiot.
Yeah.
But I wanted to read a little something and I'd like you to play Monica.
What an honor.
Because I just want everyone to see like the nature of these conversations. They were so like gossipy and high school and vulnerable and like it's crazy.
This is a cold read, but I told Tess that just means that it'll be like raw emotion.
That's where she does her best work. And I knew
We'll
that
see.
she needed that. So you'll be Monica. I want your motivation is like you just
Okay.
really want me to understand where you're coming from.
Okay.
Because I think you still feel a little judged by like you want me to be like, okay, I get why you'd be like so in love with this
I
man.
need your validation.
Of course.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay.
Okay. The whole thing is just fundamentally unfair.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I hate him for it, but on the other hand, I understand why he would have felt awkward. But I think he owes you the truth. I really do. You know, you're the type of person who accept that, you know, if he were frank with you.
I think that, and I think you've said this too, but I think part of him wanted to bring me back because he promised me. I mean, he felt bad for what happened, but I think a big part of him didn't.
I think he has a problem. And I think he knows he has a problem. And I think he knows that faced with temptation, with a willing partner that he finds sexy, he wouldn't be able to mend his ways. And whether or not he's mending his ways on the road or any other place, I believe him when he says he wants to behave to a certain extent because...
I think he talked himself out of even being attracted to me. I mean, I really do.
Really?
There's just like nothing there. I mean, it's just weird because there was something there last month, but there was nothing there the other night.
It's unfair to everybody. I mean, it's just stupid. If it had been me, I would have begged you not to go for that 60-second visit.
Because I didn't know it was going to be 60 seconds.
Yeah, true.
You know, like I thought it'd be 15 minutes. So, all right, I'm going to bed.
Gorgeous, Claire.
Thank you. Also kind of funny that she's like 15 minutes. It's like, my God, still.
You can just see that
just
the
for
bar,
a blowjob.
the bar is so low, and like she's just
Wow.
so enamored by him, and just like will take anything that she can get.
And it's that phase again when you're like within like a toxic hookup situationship or whatever, where you're like, well, why doesn't he like me tonight? Like 2 weeks ago, like he was obsessed with me.
Exactly.
Yesterday he was obsessed with me.
It's exactly. It's like he gave me.
Poor Monica. This is so sick.
And it's like you can just feel, and like if you want to read the transcripts, they are all out on the internet. And it's just her being this like young thing, being like, why doesn't he like me? It's her crying a lot of the times, being like, he gets everything. He is, you know, people just adore him. I feel like he doesn't even remember me.
God, how humiliating to have your 22-year-old self all over the internet in like a situation like this, because I won't speak for everyone, but I know we've both been in a situation like this with a guy.
Yes.
And that's horrible to have to relive that.
And I was in a situation like this with a guy when I was 29.
Yeah.
And even that, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I felt so immature and so manic and chaotic. And you just do not want any part of that, like in the public eye.
No.
So she's getting a little depressed.
Yeah.
And just a little bit frustrated. And remember Paula Jones, who was in the lobby and said that he asked
to go upstairs.
and
Yeah.
to kiss his penis?
Yeah.
So she is now pressing what happened, and she is going public with it and saying Clinton harassed me. And now I'm like, so I think basically because of the Paula Jones case, they're asking a lot of people to submit an affidavit, which basically is like she's denying. I think they go to Monica because like some people are questioning, like
Yeah.
nothing is out yet, but they're basically just like trying to like
Put out any fires before they're starting.
exactly. So she submits an affidavit that denies any physical relationship with Clinton ever. And then during one of her conversations with Linda on the tapes, Monica says they just came for me, by the way, and asked for me to sign this. You need to sign it too. And you need to say that you've never heard of anything with him. And she was like, I don't even want him to be in trouble. Like she also wanted to protect him from these other women. And so she's like, I don't want Catherine Wiley saying that he groped her because like he wouldn't do that. So she's like asking Linda.
Of course. Did she honestly think that she's going to get Linda to sign it?
And Linda's like, I can't. It's unconstitutional. It's illegal. It's not patriotic. And Monica's like,
as she's recording their
like,
conversation.
literally. And Monica begs her and she's like, I can't do that, Monica. And I think Monica then at this point is like, like, are you on my
Something.
side or aren't you on my
Yes.
side?
Also, the pit you must feel of like, fuck, I've revealed everything. You're not going to sign this now.
Exactly. And then Linda starts pulling away. And
Oh,
she's like, what is going on?
no.
She promised me that this was like going to be our little secret. And it wasn't because Tripp ends up giving the tapes to Ken Starr, the one who's originally trying to ruin the Clintons for Whitewater.
Oh, God.
And Ken Starr is now armed with evidence of Monica's admission of the physical relationship with Clinton.
Ken Starr also sounds like a fake name.
It really does. I know this whole time I was like, it was reminding me just of like Star Magazine.
That's how I feel like it's like a sleazy Beverly Hills guy or something.
But like literally, I mean, I think who plays him on the show? Billy on the Street. Billy Eichner plays him with like a fedora, like so
Stop,
douchey.
he would be wearing a fedora.
Just with like a little old computer, like in his mom's
Oh,
basement.
that sounds perfect.
So now he has all of the evidence and also Monica's possible perjury in the Paula Jones case because he was like, she signed an affidavit saying.
Oh my God.
So now she is in trouble.
Oh my God.
So news of the scandal first broke on January 17th, 1998.
Also, I'm like, well, she shouldn't be in trouble. The person who actually did it should be in trouble.
The president.
Yeah, of the United States.
Who has done this to countless other women.
Yeah.
She's just trying to protect herself because she's scared shitless of what her life is going to be like, which newsflash, it doesn't turn out to be very positive for her.
Yeah.
So it comes out on this thing called the Drudge Report, which reported that Newsweek editors were sitting on a story by investigative reporter Michael Isikoff exposing the affair. The story broke on the mainstream press on January 21st in the Washington Post. The story swirled for several days, and despite swift denials from Clinton, they were like, you did it. So at first he's like, absolutely not, absolutely not. And then they have to have a White House press conference. Claire, I'd like you to read his State of the Union.
Oh my God. Wow. What a day. My career has never been so booming before.
So he's denying.
Okay. Right here? Okay.
Yeah, just in the bold.
Okay. Now I have to go back to work on my State of the Union speech, and I worked on it till pretty late last night. But I want to say one thing to the American people, and I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. Oh, here it is. I did not have sexual relations with this woman, Miss Lewinsky. Side note, again, if you ever downloaded a LimeWire song, sometimes you might have got that little clip from him.
Oh my God, that's right.
Bringing it back to our LimeWire episode.
Oh my God, I forgot about this.
Yep. Side note. Okay. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie. Not a single time. Never. These allegations are false, and I need to go to work. Oh, sorry, he did not stutter like that. And I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. So he's lying.
You're
You're such a fucking liar, Camille.
You're literally though, and he's just so gross at being like, I need to like go back to work, and like he's like gaslighting everyone and being like, do more important things. That's like, shut up.
Also, it's like kind of like Watergate, where people were like, the presidents never lied to us at this point. I feel like we had never had like the president sexually assaulting, even though like
They probably were
since the beginning of time.
I mean,
like a man of power. You tell me Kennedy didn't do something?
Oh, of course, of course.
Allegedly.
But it just was such a big thing because you can throw that away. Or, because it was like an intern and like all of the things. So throughout this, Hillary Clinton remains very supportive of her husband, and she goes on, 60 Minutes and the Today Show and does a lot of appearances just being like, there have always been investigations about these, and we've always been under attack, and I choose to believe, when he's been proven innocent, I believe he is innocent. And I think, I had a really tough time at one point during the research of watching these interviews with her, of being like, oh my God, now like that I knew about all of the assault allegations from so many people. And she does kind of make it seem like women are crazy.
Right.
And she goes, well, these women want attention. They're the same people that are doing this and doing this.
That's really disappointing to hear.
And it was very disappointing. And I don't condone that. I think at the same time, she knows that she wants to run for president.
Yep. She's smarter than he is.
His actions reflect her.
Yep.
So basically, she's being defensive because they're saying you're a terrible person.
Yes.
And she has her eye on the prize. And
people are going to be like, you're disgusting for staying with him. And people are going to be like, you're disgusting for getting a divorce.
There's like no way that she could have done it. And then, she's also not wanting him to get impeached because then she won't be able to do anything with her career.
And it's also humiliating.
It's humiliating. And I do think that she, at this point, I don't know about it anymore. I think at this point she still really loved him. And I think it was a toxic love.
Did you ever watch House of Cards?
Mm-mm.
I really think that, I don't know when the love was lost between Hillary and Bill, but I think they, for a very long time, were partners and like they're business partners.
Yes. And I think like there's some pain, obviously, every time that she's like, oh, you cheated on me. I do think that she kind of numbed out at some point.
Yes.
And was like, I'm just going to deny so I can head on to the top where he's been at because I deserve it more than him.
Yep.
And I'm not going to fuck shit up like he has done.
I think that's spot on, Tess. I really do.
So it's complicated. It's like the nuance of it is really tough because it's like I really respect Hillary Clinton. I don't respect her ever saying publicly women are crazy or not standing by survivors.
Yep.
And that was really hard, I'm not gonna lie.
It's very difficult.
It really is.
And she has to live with that now. Like, and I hope that she's done the work to understand. And like I don't know. It's so complicated.
I know it is really complicated.
And it shouldn't be. Like, it should be black and white of like, well, no, you should just support the victims.
Right. And then if she does that, then she can't remain by him. It's like you have to choose one or the other, and you have to almost choose like your marriage and your career over what she does. I do believe she stands for.
That clip that you sent me of it's Edie Falco playing her, right? She's on the beach and they're playing Tammy Wynette's Stand By Your Man. I was like,
that's such a good episode of the series. It's just like a kind of bottle episode of because they end up going after the news breaks to Martha's Vineyard as a family. And
Chelsea's like 14.
Ugh. When they're like walking out to the private plane, she's in the middle of them and it's a famous photo and she takes both of their hands and like, they were like, she did that. We didn't ask her to do that. And like, she was like, we are a unit.
Ugh. That's so, God, what a family. My God.
What a family. So basically Monica ends up being okay, like legally, because she received transactional immunity in exchange for grand jury testimony concerning her relationship with him.
So it's like if you talk, then you're not going to get charged with anything.
And if you say everything, so she hands over the semen-stained blue dress.
Did she not get that dry cleaned?
So she was about to get it dry cleaned when she's on the phone with Linda one day. And Linda, knowing what she's about to release, says, oh, I wouldn't get that dry cleaned. And Monica's like, why? And she's like, you never know what's going to happen with the situation and what you might need a little legal evidence. And she was like, what are you talking about? But she ends up kind of being like, maybe I won't get it dry cleaned.
But she's also like,
she like might want to keep it because it's like
literally like show her friends one day. Like, you'll never believe what this is.
I know. Like,
you're like, put it away. We don't need to see that.
So they took a blood sample from Clinton, thereby providing evidence that is his semen on her dress.
That is humiliating. Also, Beyonce has that lyric, he Monica Lewinsky'd all on my gown, and Monica Lewinsky did not like that. Well, she also was like, that's inaccurate because he.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I believe that a Monica Lewinsky reference has been made in over 123 songs.
That really sucks.
That really does suck. So basically, the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, Clinton, you did it. He really tries for a long time to play he has a recording in front of a grand jury. He's like at the Oval Office. And they're like, so did you have sexual intercourse? Define sexual intercourse.
Like, okay, so yes.
And they're like, any physical touch. And they're like listing off everything. And it's so graphic. And he basically says, well, define. He says some famous thing, which is like, well, it depends on what is. And he's trying to like completely like get around just saying. And so he says for a while, I wasn't lying because sex needs to be penetration.
Sounds like a religious kid who's like trying to get away with
saying like I do anal.
Which, by the way, I just found out what soaking was in Mormonism on TikTok. Have you heard of that?
Didn't you tell me?
Did I tell you? Did I tell you
think
in New York?
York.
I have no recollection. Oh my God, I'm dying. Yeah, just look that up on TikTok.
Yeah,
I won't explain it to you here.
You know, sex is sex.
Technicalities. It's also, yeah.
Cheating is cheating.
100%.
So, he does try. And then finally he has to be like, fuck, I did it. He comes forward.
Oh, so he does.
He does. And he has to be like, I'm ashamed of what I've done to my family. I did have a inappropriate relationship with her. He has to address the nation. And then the Republicans are like, ha, 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 ha. And they try to, so they claim that Clinton's false testimony originally and allegedly influencing Monica's testimony were crimes of obstruction of justice and perjury, thus impeachment offenses. So they tried. He doesn't actually get impeached.
Oh, he doesn't?
Mm-mm.
He just Oh, he doesn't.
Which I always thought he was.
So are the only president, well, I know there's a president way back in the day that did, and then Nixon. And
Yes.
Trump got impeached,
He
right?
did.
Not just tried for it?
Yeah, because it says.
And what is impeachment?
Because I thought impeachment was like you're out of the office.
I used to think that too, and it's not the case.
I think, let's see. So this says the House of Representatives voted to issue 2 articles of impeachment against him, which was followed by a 21-day trial in the Senate, short of the 67 votes needed for conviction and removal from office. So like he was, but he wasn't removed from office.
So is impeachment meaning like, okay, now you can be removed from office?
I think it's like the gateway.
Okay.
I think it's being like, and you're up for this.
And
but
now
it's not removal, which I thought it was.
Yeah. And so now it's like, yeah, available.
Yes.
Got it.
So to really conclude this, our last chapter, if you will, what happens to Monica after? And what happens to Bill Clinton after? So President Clinton was ultimately acquitted of perjury and obstruction of justice in his impeachment trial, keeping both his presidency and his marriage to Hillary. And this was sad to me. I think this was from I forget what source this was from, but it says, meanwhile, there was no roadmap for Lewinsky in terms of what a woman in her early 20s should do next when she's become an international laughingstock.
How are you supposed to date?
So she loses her job at Revlon. That was promised to her. Do you remember when we talked in the Princess Diana episode about Edward Norton?
That name sounds familiar.
He was like a ghostwriter who wrote Diana in her words, who published it without like her being able to. The same thing that he did with Monica. Like he was like, I want to write your biography. And she's like, well, legally, I can't say anything. He's like, but I can. Like there was like this kind of like.
Is Edward Norton still with us?
Like, I don't think he is, but like what a
hero.
What a hero.
My
and so
God.
he, to help pay for all of her legal bills.
Stop.
A book comes out that is, quote, not a biography, but she didn't really have anything to do with it. But she talks to him and, you know, gives him all of the information and her story, which helps her be able to, you know, afford everything that has happened.
What an angel.
Truly what an angel. Because like at this point, she's the butt of every joke on SNL,
South Park, I bet.
South Park, late night talk shows. She's fat shamed. She is slut shamed. She's called a bimbo, a homewrecker.
Bimbo's so classic. It's
Bimbo
like, oh my God.
was the biggest one that she got, and she just got, which is like we don't even have time for this, but she got so much comments on her body. And that she wasn't like, people were like, she's not like, he's going to risk it all to be with someone who looks like that.
Ugh.
And so she really got a lot of shame for her appearance.
That is so disgusting. And people still do that shit today.
I know. She talks to Barbara Walters, who's like, how could you do this to Hillary? And did you think of Chelsea?
Oh my God,
doesn't ask Bill, how could you do this to Hillary? And how could you do this to Chelsea?
Yes, literally.
Oh, yeah, he does no like follow-ups about it. And she's on every single show with people being like,
Does she get paid to do that?
No, not these appearances. She gets paid.
Well, it's also like you have to do these appearances to like sell books.
Exactly.
It's not fair. Like she could just go hide, but then it's just not that easy.
Right. And she's saying in all these interviews, she regrets it. She was young and foolish. She's deeply remorseful. She's really upset that she hurt his family. She says, overnight, I went from being a completely private figure to a publicly humiliated one worldwide. I was patient zero of losing a reputation on a global scale almost instantaneously. He was my boss. He was the most powerful man on the planet. He was 27 years my senior with enough life experience to know better. He was at the time at the pinnacle of his career while I was in my first job out of college. This is what she writes in her Vanity Fair essay in 2018.
It's disgusting. It's so not fair at all.
I know.
There's so many like power play. It's completely inappropriate on his part, and it's despicable.
And does she ever get an apology from him? No, of course not, because everyone's telling him, don't apologize. You can't say that exactly. You have to say, I'm sorry for hurting the American people. I'm sorry for hurting my family. But you can't say, I'm sorry to Monica, because that makes you a predator.
Oh my God.
So this woman never gets an apology from this man. She ends up moving to London a few years later, and she goes to grad school there, and she gets a master's in psychology, which was a good thing for her. But then after she graduates from grad school, she applies to over 50 jobs, and no one will even take her because they're like, that's Monica Lewinsky. Like, are we trying to...
I'm surprised she didn't change her name.
I know.
But then if they do any like background checks on you...
There's kind of like nothing that she can do.
Yeah.
She tries to have this like failed handbag line that doesn't do well. She's really trying to find her way, and it takes her a really long time to be able to do anything substantial. She ends up doing a TED Talk. I think this was like 2017 or 2018.
I feel like around that time, she really started coming back into the zeitgeist.
I think this is literally when she's like, now I'm comfortable like in the public again. Like I think she hid out.
Yeah.
She never married. She's never had kids. She's now an anti-bullying advocate, a TV and film producer, and she made a documentary about public shame on HBO. She was the co-producer of FX Impeachment, which I keep mentioning. And she wrote this Vanity Fair piece finally, kind of like talking about everything in wake of the Me Too movement. And I will end with this.
Oh God, that must have been a really triggering time for her.
I know. And this is interesting because a lot of people don't believe that she is still a victim of any kind. And she says, there are many more women and men whose voices and stories need to be heard before mine. There are even some people who feel my White House experiences don't have a place in this movement, as what transpired between Bill Clinton and myself was not sexual assault, although we now recognize that it constituted a gross abuse of power. And yet everywhere I go for the past few months, I've been asked about it. My response has been the same. I am in awe of the sheer courage of women who have stood up and begun to confront entrenched beliefs and institutions. But as for me, my history, and how I fit in personally, I'm sorry to say I don't have a definitive answer yet on the meaning of all the events that led to that 1998 investigation. I am unpacking and reprocessing what happened to me over and over again.
Ugh, God, I'm sure that whole movement made her be like, wait, I wasn't the problem.
I think that happened to so many women.
Yep.
And I know I personally dealt with that too, of being like, wait a second, this relationship, this, sexual experience was not what I once thought it was, just because that brought so much to light for so many women. And she is the epitome of like female shame.
Yep.
And sex and slut shaming and like
100%.
And, and what Hillary says a lot too is, well, it was consensual, and she said that during the 2016 when she was running, people kept being like, how could you?
Which makes me mad for Hillary that she's like, my dumbass husband did this. Like, I'm trying to make a difference in this world and I have to answer for his bullshit mistakes that also hurt me.
Exactly. Like, I didn't want him to do that.
No, but oh my God, it's so frustrating. Also, when I said she was Barracuda in the beginning, I was not saying like you guys know what I mean.
I know, like, because then you listen to this and I felt protective of Monica after this.
Yeah.
And I was like, you made some dumb fucking decisions.
You were 22.
You seemed a little bit love obsessed.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have pursued him. You shouldn't have kept doing it. Also, the power dynamics were so off.
Well, so the whole reason why it shows this is all Bill Clinton's fault is because keep Monica exactly the same in the story and then change him to being a 22-year-old intern.
Exactly.
Then it's not a problem.
That's a really great point, Claire.
So it's like, yeah, if he's the only one that if you change it, then it becomes a problem. So he's the problem.
He is the problem.
It really sucks. That really sucks.
I know. And so, yeah, I feel for her that she couldn't have a life after this. He went on to complete his presidency. His wife ran for president twice. You know, they're still very, in a lot of ways, beloved figures.
Yeah.
Or he is a beloved figure. I'll keep Hillary out of this. But, like,
Yeah.
and she's had a hard time getting a job. She hasn't been able to get married, have children, which I don't know if that's what she wanted. But I did read something that she once wanted that. And so I just think, like, it's just unfair.
I wonder what, like, the statute of limitations are. Like, if she can ever write something.
She wrote that Vanity Fair essay, but it was mostly about Me Too. It wasn't like the details. And same with her like documentary and TED Talk. It's a lot about bullying and like the public perception and response. I don't think she can say much based on the agreement.
That is crazy. Well,
but you can see it all in the report. You can see literally everything he said and did, and the tapes also have all of it.
Ugh. Well done, Tess, though.
Thank you.
Like, I know that you were very passionate about this one. I'm so glad that you took this one on.
Me too.
I think it's so important in so many different ways, and you just did it. You did so well, and I love that you brought like the fun plays into it. It's like it's hard, guys. History is a tough subject, and like it's tough critiquing it, and it's hard to bring some levity to it because like we also want you guys to be able to enjoy this.
Yeah.
So that was really well done.
Thank you so much.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. It was, it was fun to do, and a lot because I know it's so, like I said, it's dark and there's some really shitty parts of it. At the same time, like it did feel so
high
school pettiness to it as well.
I know.
So.
Linda feels like the quirky girl who's pissed at the quarterback for liking the younger girl.
I cannot wait for you to watch the show.
I can't either. Maybe that will get me out of my reality.
I didn't
TV
watch
addiction.
any. Well, I watched it in 5 days.
That's when you know that a show is good if it gets us out of.
I didn't even want to watch New Beverly Hills,
and that says something.
That does say something. But kids, we hope you like this episode. Make sure to give us a follow on all the things at Right Answers Mostly. Sign up for our Patreon, please.
Sign up for our Patreon. Leave a 5-star review, please, on Apple Podcasts. And a little written review is always fun to see.
We do love that. You could be featured in our newsletter and
share this episode and share us with your friends.
Yes, please do.
And we love you.
We love you, Rammies.
Bye.